Hey guys, Brendan Esguerra here. And today I'm going to be talking about the problem with the MCU Spider-Man. Yes, the MCU Tom Holland Spider-Man. And everything terrible about it, and everything terrible about the MCU. Let's start off with, okay, first I'm going to be starting off with Spider-Man Homecoming, Spider-Man Far From Home, Spiderman No Way Home, and everything else terrible with the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Okay, so let's begin. First, with Spider-Man Homecoming, there are so many problems with Spider-Man Homecoming, such as the costume. The costume is actually pretty terrible. I mean, sure, Spider-Man's costume in the comics did have expressive eye lenses and web wings, but it most certainly did not light up, and it most certainly didn't work like how it did in the film. And it wasn't made like how it was in the film. It was made with a simple sewing machine, and of course some actual red and blue fabric with actual eye lenses. And of course he did have expressive eye lenses, but those were just cartoon physics, man. That was just cartoon logic. And he did have web wings, but those were just merely there for decoration. Because that was back in the 1960s. And in the 60s, you weren't a superhero unless you had a capes and Stan Lee and Steve Ditko just put it there for decoration. They did not serve a purpose, and yes, the original Spider-Man costume did have, expressive eye lenses and web wings, but it most certainly did not lit up. And when they do put in the expressive eye lenses and web wings, the web wings did not serve a purpose. Spider-Man doesn't glide. He swings from webs and climbs walls. Only Batman glides, and I'm pretty sure that dumbass director John Watts must have confused Spider-Man with Batman. And he must have thought his web wings were the exact same thing as Batman's cape. And let's not forget that the expressive eye lenses are actually kind of disturbing and pretty creepy. I mean, they sort of give off an uncanny valley vibe, and it makes Spider-Man look like some weird mutant freak. And I could only see the expressive eye lenses working out for either the comics, the cartoons, or in the case of Spider-Man PS4 and Spider-Man Miles Morales on the PS5, the video games, but not for a live-action movie like any live-action Spider-Man movie at all. Because it's just not compatible with a live-action film, and then there's Spider-Man Far From Home, I forgot with Spider-Man Homecoming, where I also forgot that, Spider-Man, Peter Parker's best friend, is some fat Asian kid named Ned Leeds, and not Harry Osborn. And last time I checked in the comics, Peter Parker wasn't best friends with Ned Leeds. Even though there was a Ned Leeds, he wasn't Peter Parker's best friend. His best friend has always been Harry Osborn. And then there's Michelle Jones, who, well, is an MJ, but she's not Mary Jane Watson. It's Michelle Jones, and last time I checked in the comics, there was no Michelle Jones. There was only Mary Jane Watson, though, because there is only room for one MJ in the Spider-Man universe, and that MJ is Mary Jane Watson. There was never a Michelle Jones, because Michelle Jones was only made up for the MCU and for Spider-Man Homecoming, and she's just a replacement and stand-in for Mary Jane. And last time I checked in the comics, there was no Michelle Jones. There was only Mary Jane, Gwen Stacy, Black Cat, aka Felicia Hardy, and every single other woman that Spider-Man has been in a relationship with and has kissed with. And of course, let's not forget that Spider-Man Homecoming was just a shallow marketing tool and advertisement for the MCU, such as Iron Man being a big part of Spider-Man Homecoming, as well as that Captain America cameo, that kid wearing an Iron Man helmet, those burglars all wearing Avengers Halloween masks as disguises, and Flash Thompson sarcastically saying he has a date with Black Widow. And also about in Spider-Man Homecoming, Spider-Man can't even make his own suit just like he did in the comics. And when he does, it's just a pile of red and blue rags he got at the thrift store, and not a regular one-piece skin-tight spandex suit that he made from a sewing machine and some red and blue spandex and some eye lenses, just like how he did in the comics. Spider-Man's costume has always and should always be a one-piece skin-tight spandex red and blue suit with eye lenses and foot soles, and not something that a 5-year-old could easily cobble up using a bunch of red and blue garbage from the thrift store. And then let's not forget Spider-Man Far From Home, where Spider-Man eventually does make his make his own costume, but from the same terrible Stark-powered technology in Spider-Man Homecoming. Those same goofy and somewhat creepy-looking expressive eye lenses, those useless web wings, and those crazy light-up features. The only thing comic book accurate is that it's red and black, which is like Spider-Man's first appearance, but the costume design isn't comic book accurate. And then let's not forget that it took place in Europe, and why did it have to take place in Europe? And let's not forget that disturbing, messed up, and creepy scene with that zombie Iron Man from that illusion scene with Mysterio. And let's not forget the ending with J. Jonah Jameson, where he looks completely different from how he appeared in the original Sam Raimi films. I mean, he looks nothing like how he did in the original Sam Raimi films. J. Jonah Jameson was never bald. He always had like a buzz cut with a lot of gray hair since he started working there. He was never bald. He never even had a receding hairline. And then let's not forget Spider-Man No Way Home, where, spoiler alert, for any of you losers out there who are so super hyped up for Spider-Man No Way Home, spoiler alert, it's going to be a multiverse crossover with the original Sam Raimi trilogy with Tobey Maguire and The Amazing Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield. And honestly, that's a stupid... And they're also shoehorning a bunch of villains in it, as well as turning Ned Leeds into a version of the Hobgoblin. And I honestly think it's stupid. It's all stupid. Because one, Tobey Maguire can't be Spider-Man anymore because he's too old to be Spider-Man. He's like in his early 40s. And looking at him now, he's really aged since Spider-Man 3, the original Spider-Man 3. And also, Andrew Garfield can't be in it because he's also too old to be Spider-Man, because a 30-year-old can't play Spider-Man. And let's not forget that they decided not to include, Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man into the MCU for that for the same reason, which is why they decided to reboot Spider-Man again with Spider-Man Homecoming in the first place, which is why they canceled The Amazing Spider-Man 3, and they also canceled Spider-Man 4. And let's not forget that they're shoehorning a bunch of villains in it, just like what they did with the original Spider-Man 3, and they're all going to be reprised by their previous roles from both the original Sam Raimi trilogy and The Amazing Spider-Man. And I highly doubt Tom Hardy or Topher Grace are going to play their roles as Venom, and Jared Leto is going to play Morbius. And let's not forget that they're trying to turn Ned Leeds into a version of the Hobgoblin, which means that they're turning Ned Leeds into a ripoff of Harry Osborn, the same way Zendaya's character Michelle Jones is a ripoff of Mary Jane. And that proves Spider-Man No Way Home is the new Spider-Man 3, and it's gonna be terrible, just a complete train wreck and utter crap, much like the original Spider-Man 3. Utter crap. And honestly, not only that, they also can't do Spider-Man No Way Home because of the pandemic. Because of the COVID-19 pandemic, it's way too dangerous, and there's a possibility that either Tom Holland, Tobey Maguire, or Andrew Garfield might end up catching COVID during the filming, or maybe after the filming. And one of them might die, just like how Chadwick Boseman died of COVID. And speaking of Chadwick Boseman, let's not forget that the MCU is gonna be terrible. Besides, the MCU has already ruined Spider-Man, just like how Disney ruined Star Wars. Now Disney is ruining Marvel. Besides, we already have that. Besides, the MCU is a traumatizing train wreck it's not uplifting, and it's not innocent, and it's not memorable. It's not uplifting, innocent, and memorable. It's traumatizing and filled with bleak, desolate, and it's filled with depression and gore. First, the ending of Avengers Infinity War, where Tom Holland's Spider-Man died, and then in the first Captain America, where Red Skull tore off his own face to become Red Skull, he actually tore off his own real face. And let's not forget that zombie Iron Man in Spider-Man Far From Home, which probably scared a lot of kids. And let's not forget the fact that Black Widow died in the end of Avengers Endgame. And let's not forget that there's no more Black Panther because Chadwick Boseman died. And also how Thor became fat, smelly, and disgusting, and he looks like a hobo, and he can't be Thor anymore. I'm sorry, but Chris Hemsworth cannot be Thor anymore because of what happened to Thor. So that means that Spider-Man No Way Home should be canceled, and Thor Love and Thunder should be canceled. In fact, everything in Marvel's Phase 5 should be canceled. Everything. Because remember what Kevin Feige said? Nothing lasts forever. Nothing lasts forever. Besides, other than the whole Spider-Man stuff, Steve Rogers, Captain America, is old. Black Widow died. Iron Man died. Black Panther died, well, in real life, because Chadwick Boseman died because of COVID. The Incredible Hulk lost his arm, and he can't be the Incredible Hulk anymore. And Thor is all fat, smelly, and disgusting, and he looks like a hobo rather than a Norse Viking Asgardian demigod. So that means there cannot be another Avengers movie anymore. And Tom Holland can never be in it. And that's why Spider-Man No Way Home should really be the final film in the Tom Holland Spider-Man trilogy. And then after that, no more. No more Tom Holland Spider-Man films, no more Thor Love and Thunder, and they should also cancel Shang-Chi and the Seven Rings, because what's the point of making that movie if the character is so obscure, and how traumatizing the MCU is, and how the MCU ruins Spider-Man? And it's nothing but a farce. I honestly think, they should just cancel, Spider-Man No Way Home, as well as cancel, Phase 5 and move on. And not only that, they should also cancel the direction that they're gonna go with the MCU, because let's be honest. I mean, sure, Falcon, Winter Soldier, or US Agent can replace Captain America, and War Machine could replace Iron Man, or even Ironheart, and of course, maybe Daredevil can become the Punisher, but I don't think Yelena Belova can replace Natasha Romanoff, because I honestly like Natasha Romanoff better than Yelena Belova. I honestly liked Natasha Romanoff better. Not trying to be creepy or pervy or whatever. I just think she's hot and all. And I honestly love the fact that Natasha Romanoff has an American accent, whereas Yelena Belova would fail. And Yelena Belova would also fail at replacing Natasha Romanoff, and she can never be Natasha Romanoff. And not only that, they can also never bring back Black Panther because Chadwick Boseman died. So they can never they can't even have Eric Killmonger replace, or any other guy replace, Black Panther. Yeah, and let's not... Gosh, the MCU is a complete and utter train wreck. And honestly, they should cancel... they should cancel Spider-Man No Way Home, along with... They should also cancel Thor Love and Thunder and Shang-Chi and the Seven Rings and any other future installment in the MCU with Phase 5, as well as the direction that they're going with for the future of the MCU, as well as the future of Spider-Man movies. And that they should cancel all of them. And instead just move on and just reboot the entire MCU. Starting with Spider-Man by doing a new Spider-Man reboot with a different actor as Spider-Man, a new director, a new script, a fresh new take, and a new and completely different feel. Can you keep that quiet, please? A new and completely different feel. A new and completely different feel. And it should be like the Venom movie. It should be like the Venom movie with Tom Hardy. And its sequel, Venom Let There Be Carnage. And they should also reboot the entire MCU, everyone. Iron Man, Captain America, Black Widow, Thor, Hulk, everyone. Even Black Panther and every other MCU character. Besides, I'm pretty sure Spider-Man No Way Home is going to end up being a terrible film and utter crap, much like the original Spider-Man 3. So honestly, I think, Marvel should, just... I honestly, for one, should think that Marvel and Sony should discontinue their deal, because the deal is terrible and it's a complete scam, and that Sony should forget the deal and should just take full control of Spider-Man and other control and take over the rights to Spider-Man and let them do their own thing with Spider-Man. Because I want Spider-Man to be his own superhero, be original, be unique, and have his own standalone franchise as well as his own standalone reboot with a completely new actor as Peter Parker Spider-Man, a new director and a fresh new start and a new completely different feel. And of course, the new Spider-Man reboot should be just like the Venom movie, the one with Tom Hardy and its sequel, Venom Let There Be Carnage. Because Kevin Feige was right. Nothing lasts forever. And I also think, Marvel should reboot the entire MCU, and Universal should take back the rights and take back control of the Incredible Hulk. And of course, Disney should let Fox do their own thing with the X-Men and the Fantastic Four. And also, I also think that Sony should also take over the rights to Black Widow and Iron Man, so they could have a new Black Widow and Iron Man, like a new version of Natasha Romanoff with a new actress, a new younger actress as Natasha Romanoff Black Widow, with a new reboot of Black Widow, that takes place in the same universe as the Spider-Man reboot, and of course a new version of Iron Man with a new Iron Man reboot, with a new actor as Iron Man. Because of the whole Shia LaBeouf thing with Marvel, I don't think Shia LaBeouf should be Moon Knight. I think Shia LaBeouf should be the new Iron Man. I think Shia LaBeouf is better as Iron Man. I think Shia LaBeouf should be Iron Man. Yeah, Shia LaBeouf should be Iron Man. And then, and by Iron Man, I mean Tony Stark. And of course, if they want to do a new Black Panther movie, then it should be with a new actor as Black Panther, but to pay tribute to Chadwick Boseman, and they should also dedicate it in loving memory of Chadwick Boseman, the original Black Panther. So that means Sony and the deal between Marvel and Sony should be discontinued, and Sony should do their own thing with Spider-Man and take over the rights to Spider-Man and let them do their own thing with Spider-Man, along with taking over the rights to Black Widow and Iron Man, and of course maybe Black Panther and even Thor, because I also want a new actor as Thor. Instead of the fat, disgusting slob Chris Hemsworth has become, I want Thor to be replaced, Chris Hemsworth to be replaced as Thor by WWE superstar Edge. And if they also want to include a new version of Captain America, Steve Rogers, they should replace Chris Evans with John Cena as Thor, because I think John Cena would make a great new Captain America. That is if Sony also got the rights to Thor and Captain America alongside Black Widow, Iron Man, and mainly Spider-Man. And, so Sony should do their own cinematic universe called Sony's Marvel Universe. But instead of Sony's Marvel Universe or the Venomverse, it should be called the Cinematic Spider-Verse, with Iron Man, Black Widow, Thor, Captain America, and Black Panther. That's what they should do. And also, the rights to the Hulk should go back to Universal so they could do more Incredible Hulk movies, because the Hulk should also get his own standalone franchise. But they could at least let, and the direction Disney and Marvel should go with the MCU, they should probably just do the X-Men and the Fantastic Four and just move on, and that's it. And everybody's happy, and it's a win-win, so there can be a successful future for the MCU and Marvel movies in general, as well as Spider-Man, and give Spider-Man and give him a new fresh start, with Spider-Man getting a new reboot, with a new actor as Spider-Man, a new director, a completely new and fresh take, a new and different feel, being more like the Venom movie with Tom Hardy and its sequel, Venom There Be Carnage, and just a fresh new start. A successful future and a better Spider-Man movie, which I'm kind of working on right now, but let's not get into that just yet. So for right now, this is where I end the video. So until then, this has been Brendan Esguerra signing off. So until then, have an awesome day, stay safe out there, and I hope you like it. Have an awesome day, and I hope you like it. This has been Brendan Esguerra signing off. Peace out.